and provide and shed more light to the operations of the company. Mr. Sunday, you are welcome to the program. Thank you. Yeah. So let's start with the topical issue, that is the National Mass Metering Program. It is a known fact that a substantial percentage of electricity users in Nigeria were unmetered over the years. And if you take Kaduna Electric, for example, as at the takeover period, almost 90% of electricity users are unmetered. They are being billed on estimation. So, how do you see the National Mass Metering Program? And in what way will this program help both the service providers and the electricity consuming public?
Thank you very much. Once again, good afternoon, viewers. I think it's a very welcome development, National Mass Metering Program. It's an intervention by the government to assist customers in the Nigerian electricity supply industry to ensure that they are properly metered. Metering is a very critical aspect of the interface between the customer and the service provider, because with metering, the customer is sure what he's paying for is exactly what is consumed, and we, the service providers too, are certain that what we get is what we have given out. But like you said, Idris, at the time of takeover, close to 90%, and it's not just peculiar with Kaduna, it's an industry-wide issue. For the first few years of privatization, it was hoped that that metering gap would be filled, but because of the cost, so many other costs. Remember, in the investing, our investment is not just going to be only in metering. We are investing in the overhead lines, we are investing in transformers, we are investing in cables, we are investing in maintenance, we are investing in repairs. So the cost of also investing in metering became too much for the discos to bear, and so the government decided to intervene. Here in Kaduna Electric, we were about the first disco to launch the National Mass Metering Program. We had the chairman of the Senate Committee on Power, members of the House Committee on Power, they were all present, and we did the launching here in Kaduna. We have launched it in Sokoto, we have launched it in Zamfara, we have launched it in Kebbi. In Kebbi, we launched it in several sites. We launched it in Birnin Kebbi, we launched it in Argungu, we launched it in Zuru, we launched it in Yauri. So as I speak to you now, we have mass metering going on all over our franchise states of Kaduna, Zamfara, Sokoto, and Kebbi. The only thing is that we appeal to our customers to be patient with us. With a metering gap of between probably 500 to 600,000, you agree with me that it is not possible for us to do this. Even if we had all the meters on the ground at once, it is probably not even possible for us to do it over a period of 1 or 2 years. Not talk of the fact that the meters are not all on ground. But as the meters are coming, we are giving them out. What we are trying to do is we are trying to do what we call end-to-end metering. If we take a feeder, which is about a small unit of an aggregation of transformers, we want to ensure that everybody on that feeder is fully metered end-to-end. We meter the transformers and we meter all the customers on the transformers, so that as much as possible, you know that what you are consuming is what you are paying for. At this point, we must appeal to our customers. The biggest problem we have with metering, I always say metering is not an end to itself, it's just a means. The biggest problem we have with metering is the tampering with the meters by customers, meter bypass, and all kinds and such things. When such things are done, everybody suffers, because the meter becomes a condemned entity, as it were. So the money that was invested in getting that meter is wasted. The utility provider does not get quality in terms of value for the service that was delivered, and the customer thinks he has run away with electricity, but somebody else has to pay for it. So that's the appeal we make. We also appeal to our customers to be calm, to be patient. We'll get to everybody, hopefully.
Okay, still on the national mass metering, maybe you need to further shed light what is expected of the customers. Is the customer expected to make any payment before he is metered, or is the customer expected to make any payment at the point of metering, or is the customer expected to make deposit before he will be registered for metering? How is the exercise taking place?
Thank you very much. This is part of what we are doing now. This part is called the enlightenment phase. Please, customers are not supposed to pay any kobo to either any installer. A lot of the installations are being done by third parties. They've been contracted, they were registered, certified by the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission as well as NESRA. Customers are not expected to pay a dime for metering. Metering is provided for by the government and it is absolutely free. What we do, like what we are doing here in Kaduna now, a very good example is the MD Abubakar estate along Millennium City. We had done a lot of engagement with the customers and we told them we are coming on so day. The customers were on ground, we were on ground, our third-party contractors were on ground. We get to your house, we do the meter installation, our staff certify the meter, okay, the meter is sealed, you are given the meter card, you just go to the office, you go and purchase your first token. When you purchase your first token, the activation code for the meter will be given to you and your token will be given to you. And that's all. Like we say in local parlance, iyakudi, iyashagali. So there's no money. Please, nobody is expected to pay anybody any money either for registration or for installation or for whatever name they call it. If anybody does that, please report to the nearest Kaduna Electric office. Because it's a mass program, sometimes it is not possible for us to have our staff at every spot at every time. I was at MD Abubakar Estate, we're doing it street by street. Sometimes you are on street A and there's an incident in street B. So if you don't hear about it, people will just generalize that, oh, all the people are asking for money. No, but we try to make sure that our people are there and to make sure that also the metering is done according to standard. Once your area, your transformer, your feeder has been embarked for metering, we'll do an enlightenment, we come, we share flyers, we discuss, we hold meetings like this, town hall meetings with the people and let them know we are coming to meter them. This is it. Some people are afraid. In fact, there were some people that as soon as we install the meter for them, they switched off all their appliances. They said they don't want the meter is running. No, there is no, it's as you use. The thing now is that it's good. Like I said, a meter is like a referee in a football match. You know, the meter is not Manchester United, it's not Arsenal, it's not Imba, it's not Kaduna United. He's just the referee. Whatever passes through him is what he measures, and that is what will be paid for. So please, to answer the question, customers are not supposed to pay anything in whatever name to get meters.
So I think the explanation is enough. These meters are free. Nobody will be expected to pay a dime at the point of installation of these meters, and if there is any request by anybody, please don't hesitate to let the relevant authority of the company know. So you earlier casually mentioned issues of tampering with meters and attempt to a kind of shortchange the company. Please, I want you to, for the benefit of our customers, is there any penalty? Let me start from there. Is there any penalty for meter tampering or for bypass of meter? And if there are, what are the penalties?
Thank you very much. Before I talk about the penalties, let me talk about the dangers in it. The first thing that happens is that energy has been consumed and the utility provider will be billed for it, and somehow it has to be paid for. The second thing is that the government has invested in purchase of meters. A lot of these meters are manufactured locally in order to trigger local consumption. That meter now becomes damaged because it's now useless. So whatever money was invested in getting the meter is, so even if, yes, there's a penalty for tampering with meter, even if the customer pays the penalty, it does not cover for the damage that has been done both to the meter and to the system. There's a penalty for tampering with meter. You will pay for the cost of the meter. You will pay for the energy we estimated that you stole for the period that you were without supply. Because what people even do sometimes is that they open the meters and physically change some of the ICUs in order to slow down the meter. So please, as our esteemed customer, if anybody comes to your house, in local parlance, what they tell you is that meter na yana hudu sosai. Akwai abin da zamu iya mu muku a kawo sauki meter ba zai hudu ba. Please run away from such people. Report them to the nearest Kaduna Electric office. What it means is that they want to tamper with the ICUs on the board of the meter, and once they do that, you will see that the meter will not be functioning normally, and when our people come, we don't take lightly to such cases. In fact, very soon we intend to persecute, to take people to court, because the law provides for us as service providers to do that. But we don't want it to degenerate to the extent whereby we are taking our customers to court. I mean, the relationship we have is a long-lasting relationship. So we want to appeal. People who have any questions, come to the nearest Kaduna Electric office. You can come online. Our email addresses are available. We have phone numbers, this thing that people can call and make inquiries and be answered. So please, there's a penalty for bypass. But me, I'm not even interested in the penalty. I'm interested in appealing to people not to even do it. If your meter is having any problem, don't call the local electrician and tell him, come and fix my meter for me. Come to the nearest Kaduna Electric office and we'll sure fix the meter for you.
All right. One Emmanuel Uja, though he did not say from where he is contributing, said his business he folded up because of the high estimation the company is giving him. I don't know how you can respond to.
That's very unfortunate. We are partners to businesses. We are partners to businesses. What we do is to provide the service when electricity is available. Somebody opens his barber shop, he employs 2 people. That's how business works. Somebody opens a welding place, a steel company, he employs people. Somebody opens a restaurant, they have freezers and all of that, they employ people. That's what we do. We are enablers to the economy. I feel sad when you hear this kind of incident that somebody lost his business as a result of high electricity bills. So I want to appeal to our esteemed customers. If there are any issues, please walk to the nearest Kaduna Electric office and report in writing. And let that your report be in duplicate. You write your complaint. I, Sunday Yaya, was billed X amount of money this month. With the business I'm doing, I feel I should not be billed that amount. If there's no meter available for me now, I would like my load to be assessed and I am billed fairly based on the load assessment. So please, such people should come to our office and report, and we will go there. With the mass metering that is happening now, it's very likely you might even get a meter, or at least your load will be assessed and you'll be billed appropriately. So I appeal to, what's his name again?
Emmanuel Uja.
Mr. Emmanuel Uja. If you can come to our office, if it's not too late, you can come, we'll help you, you will reopen, we'll make sure you are billed properly so that we don't lose. We as a service provider, we don't lose you as a customer, but the economy of our state does not lose you as a solution provider, as an employer of labor, and as an entrepreneur. Please.
Okay, but I know residential customers too do have a similar complaint, because I have one, Godfrey Ezekiel, who is virtually making similar complaint. So how do a customer seek redress if he feels he is being overestimated?
Thank you very much. Let me say this, and I say this very often, that there's nothing inherently evil about estimation. There's nothing inherently evil about estimation if it is properly done. Even in advanced countries, meter readings are not taken every month. Meter readings are taken during the 4 seasons of the year: summer, spring, autumn, and winter. Then the balance of the remaining months are normally estimated. But the problem we have here, because our data is not correct, that's what affects our estimation. NEC has provided for an estimation methodology where meters are not available. There's an approved estimation methodology, which is what we follow. If a customer is not satisfied with his estimated bill, he's supposed to come to Kaduna Electric office and report in writing. Please, it's important. People complain a lot. People complain to their neighbors, they complain to everybody, but don't come to our office. You come to our office and complain in writing, attach a photocopy of the bill. Then the regulation also provides you to pay the last undisputed amount on the bill. A lot of people do that thing because they say they are contesting the bill. They don't even pay anything at all, and they can be contesting the bill for the next 2 years. They tell you they are contesting the estimated bill. No, the regulation provides you first, you pay the undisputed part of the bill. I feel based on what was given to me last month. I was given 7,500 naira last month. All of a sudden, it has gone to 10,000 naira this month. Come and explain to me how the balance of 2,500 came about. Meanwhile, I am paying the 7,500 that I paid last month. Then we, as a service provider, for billing.
Okay, the comment. That is where the written complaint comes about.
Yes.
Okay.
A lot of people write and they never even make payment, and they'll tell you they are disputing their bill. Then when you put that right, because it's a billing complaint, it's not like fuse out that will say we'll solve in 24 hours or less. It has to wait till the next month's billing cycle before it is resolved. Most likely, we'll reply. We are supposed to, within 48 hours, send you a reply acknowledging receipt of that your complaint, and we'll work on it. Very likely, we'll send a technical team to come and assess your load in your presence or the presence of your accredited assigned representative. And when the load is assessed, you'll be explained how it is arrived and what it comes to. If you agree with that, then by the next month billing, it will be corrected, pending the time a meter is made available for you. So we appeal to people to take advantage of this thing. Come to our office if you have your complaint. We see people go to all kinds of places, but come to us. In any case, that's why we are launching a forum like this, so that people can also come to us. So I appeal to Mr. Godfrey, come to our office. Go to the nearest office, Kaduna Electric office, and say, look, this is what you had. And even if you do this thing there and then, people come, we give them a piece of paper, take pen, put your complaint in writing. If you have a copy of your bill, it also helps. You attach a photocopy of your bill. It helps in resolution of the problem.
Okay. Thank you. While we are still awaiting more questions and contributions from our customers and audience, I would like to ask this question. Can you take us through the electricity value chain so that our audience will have a very good understanding of the actors in the value chain and the responsibility of each of the actor in the electricity value chain?
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you. I think it's very important that people understand that we as distribution companies are more or less retailers. The electricity value chain is made up of the upstream and the downstream side of the business. We as the distribution companies that interface with the customers, we are at the downstream side. But the real work is done at the upstream side, where you have the generating companies. We call them the GenCos. We have the legacy NEPA PHCN generating companies that were privatized. We also have the generating companies that were built. We also have the NIPP generating companies. They are the original owners of the product. They generate the electricity. When they generate the electricity, they give it to the transport arm. I don't want to simplify the work they do, but for the sake of explaining so that people can, in layman's language, the transmission company of Nigeria is more or less like the logistics and the transport arm of the electricity value chain. So they take the electricity from wherever it is in the country, whether it was generated in Egbe, around Lagos, or it was generated in Maiduguri. They take it from there so that it can get to other parts of the country. Then when it comes to us, we are the ones that now take this electricity through our feeders and through our transformers, through our wires to the end customer, whether it is his factory or it's his house or it's his commercial entity, and give to them. Now, along the line, what customer is paying for, what he's actually paying for is the electricity to the generating companies. And that's why you hear a lot of times the generating companies complain that you hear that they say, oh, there's liquidity crisis. You see in the paper in the electricity industry that disco remittance, the remittance to the market, there's a big shortfall, and the generating companies are threatening to shut down the business because they are the original owners of the product. We as discos are more like
retailers.
We are retailers, but what we get is probably about 20-something% of whatever is paid is what comes to the disco. The TCN has their own, but the bulk of the money goes to the generating company. So when people don't pay their electricity bill, the implication is that the staff, Nigerians who are working in the transmission company, cannot be paid. So that means their families, they cannot pay the school fees of their children, they cannot feed their families. The generating companies who have taken loans in order to buy gas from the Nigerian gas company, which they are generating by Tama, to buy gas from the Nigerian company, it means they cannot pay. It means their assets that they have put on ground to collect those loans are now in danger. So that's what happens. There is a principle of collective responsibility. If one person does not do his job, he doesn't carry out his responsibility, it affects everybody. So in the electricity value chain, we have the generating companies, we have the transmission companies, they call us discos, about 11 of us. Now, the distribution companies are the ones the customers know, because they are the ones that interface directly with us. It's the disco wire that enters your house, it's the disco that installs meter in your house, it's the disco that repairs your transformer when it's bad and all of that. But the real work is done at the upstream side. So it's important for customers to understand this, because sometimes when we go out, and we have regulators as well, we have a lot of regulators, but the major regulator in the industry is Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission. Part of what the Electricity Commission does is the setting of user tariffs after proper consultation. Sometimes when there's review of tariff, we as discos get attacked as if we're the ones that unilaterally did the review, but that's not the case. So it's important people understand this, how electricity flows through up to their houses, and if they don't carry out their responsibility of paying for the electricity, of ensuring that we don't have vandals and other people going ahead to spoil this installation, then it will affect. If they don't do that, it affects every other person.
Okay. In fact, the final part of your explanation reminded me of one contentious issue. Most often, you hear electricity users saying, I was paying 5,000 naira before, or I was paying 3,000 naira before. All of a sudden, my bill is now 10,000 naira or thereabout. What this tariff issue you are talking about? How does the new tariff affect the customer's bill? And why is maybe 2 years ago, if I'm paying 3,000 naira, why can't I still pay the 3,000 naira now?
Thank you very much. Just before I answer you, I have Mr. George.
Yeah, I had, yes.
Who is asking, can a customer be disconnected without a disconnection notice for any reason? No. Before customers are disconnected, they are giving notices. However, if you have defaulted in your last month's payment, for example, now the bill that we are pursuing in June is actually the energy consumed in May. So if this current bill, we should give you a notice for this current bill. But if you have an outstanding from April, we do not need to give you any notice before you can be disconnected. It's important customers understand that, because customers always say they were disconnected without notice. They were not. A lot of times people are not disconnected based on their current bill. They are disconnected based on their outstanding that they have not settled. But if all you have is your current bill, you cannot be disconnected without being given.
Okay. In other words, yes, if one picks his bills, yes, there is a column for outstanding. Yes. There is a column for current charges,
yeah, opening balance,
current charges, and of total due. Yes, so if there is an opening balance, yes, then one stands the risk of being disconnected, yes, without notice. Yes, yes. But if one have zero opening balance, yes, it's only the current charges. Then of course, if at all the service provider wants to disconnect him or her, he will be notified before the disconnection. Okay, that's very interesting.
So now answering the question, unfortunately, the price of so many things in our country has gone up. And electricity, I remember when so many years ago, we used to charge the tariff is what is charged for a single kilowatt hour of electricity. Many years ago, it was just 4 naira per kilowatt hour, and the minimum consumption that time was 400 naira, and so a customer's bill was about 160 naira. By the time you add 5% VAT, 80 naira. There used to be fixed charge of 100 naira and meter maintenance charge of 220 naira. So you used to have people, bill used to be a minimum of about 2,000 naira, and people would tell you we're paying 2,000 naira. But unfortunately, because of the price of gas, because of the price of infrastructure and all of that, tariffs have been reviewed upwards now. I remember when electricity was 4 naira per kilowatt hour, even petrol was 20 naira per kilowatt hour. You and I know petrol now is about per liter, sorry, per liter. It's 165 naira, depending on where you are buying. I lived in Cape for some time. We don't buy at 165 naira there. And when I go to Yaoundé, we also don't buy at that price there. But so the cost has gone up. So now, on the average, we are looking at almost 50 naira for us as a disco per kilowatt hour. That means that same 400 units you were paying 2,000 for, now it's about 20,000 naira. So sometimes when people tell you that, oh, in our place, all we are paying is 3,000 naira. In fact, these 5,000 people are asking us to pay. How much does that represent in terms of kilowatt hour? It's not up to 100 kilowatt hour. If you divide that by the 30 days, it's not up to 3 kilowatt hour per day. So it's because of, in an attempt to ensure that we are able to meet up with the rising cost of everything. And so tariffs are normally reviewed after due consultation. We consult with labor, we consult with civil society organizations, we consult with Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, we consult with the Chambers of Commerce and Industry and all of that before we reach an agreement in reviewing tariff. So because the tariff has gone up, and for Kaduna Electric customers, if you look at the back of your bill, if you reverse your bill, on the front page you have the information about your bill, but at the back of the bill you have the information about tariff. I remember you and I were meeting with a community recently, and somebody said it was only when we talked about it that he checked, and I saw that, oh, okay, so this thing is there. So the cost per unit of electricity is stated clearly on the bill. So it's for the customer to check and ensure that you are billed appropriately. Now with the recently approved service-based tariff, tariffs are given to customers based on the hour of service they get. And we as distribution companies had wanted to be given what we call a cost-reflective tariff. Tariff that reflects the cost that we invest. I should not buy a product at 30 naira per unit and I'm forced to sell it at 15 naira. That's not a profitable business. So we wanted the tariff to reflect our cost. But the regulator said no. Not only should it reflect your cost, but it should also reflect the quality of service you give. So you should not charge somebody you give 20 hours or you give 16 hours the same amount as you charge somebody you give 20 hours. If you want to charge him that amount, then give him that quantity. After a lot of discussions, we as Discos agreed to that. And so that's why we have customers divided now into bands. Ultimately, it is expected that everybody will move to band A and will all be enjoying 24 hours supply. Once you are metered and you have a prepayment meter, or even if it's a postpaid meter, it's now, the onus is now on you to look at how you can control your consumption. So yes, tariffs have been reviewed. So customers need to understand that, and in their interactions with us and their interactions with our people, that this is it. And also we in Kaduna especially, we do a lot of public enlightenment already. We've sent to the regulator what are public enlightenment. Part of the things we discuss is what is the current tariff and how does it affect you, and how does it help you also to plan as you do your budgeting.
All right. My next question was even supposed to be on that service-based tariff. So, but since you've touched a bit of it, but I still want you to look at it to explain what is this service-based tariff and what are the classification of these bands, and what is the wisdom even behind the classification of the customers into various bands.
Thank you very much. Like I said earlier, we, the service providers, wanted what we call a cost-reflective tariff, but the regulator approved for us what is called a service-based, which is fair on the customer. A customer who for some reasons, like in Kaduna, unfortunately, our franchise area will have a lot of places that are affected by insecurity. We have the Birningwari axis, we have the Jere axis, we have places like Zurmi in Zamfara State, we have places like Yauri and all these places. So in some of those places, we are not able to give them full service because our people are not able to walk around freely in those places. So now, what the regulator is saying is that if you are not able to give somebody full service, you should not charge him the full amount. So customers have now been divided, our feeders that provide the customers electricity have now been divided into bands, what we call band A, band B, band C, band D, and band E. Band A, which is the highest, any customer who is on band A is expected to get a minimum of 20 hours supply of electricity per day. And as a result of that number of hours they get, they have their own tariff. The next category are those customers on band B. They are expected to get a minimum of 16 sometimes even 18 hours of electricity supply per day, minimum per day. Then customers on band C are expected to get 12 to 14 hours per day. Band D are supposed to get about 8 to 10 hours, while band E are supposed to get about 6 hours. So if you are being billed, for example, if I'm getting only say 10 hours or 12 hours of supply and I'm being billed for 20 hours, then I have to raise alarm. So the idea is to ensure fairness to the customer. The customer should not pay for what he's not using. And for us as a disco, we're excited about it. It means it's an incentive for us to improve, because the more we're able to improve the quality of service we give to the customer, the more we can charge the customers as approved by the regulator. So it's a win-win thing, both for we as service providers, for the customers, and even for regulator. If it is practiced properly, everybody in the industry will be happy. Along the value chain, the generating companies will get their money, the TCN will get their money for their investment, the generating companies will be able to expand their generating capacity, and we as a distribution company will also get our money, we'll be able to expand our capacity. Our cities are growing at very fast rate, we'll be able to take electricity supply to everywhere, and everybody will be happy.
All right, I have Caleb Stephanus. First, he's complaining that their transformer beside one primary school in Marabarido has an issue, but I want to inform Mr. Caleb that the area manager, Barnawa, has joined this program, and I believe he will note this issue and he will respond to it immediately. And to your second question, he said they need meter in Marabarido. How do they go about it?
No, like we said, already, as I speak to you now, I know for a fact that in Barnawa area office, meters are being installed as we speak. I think Mr. James can help us confirm that on the Facebook feed. But like we said earlier, even if all the meters were on ground now, it is not possible to ensure everybody is metered all at once. What we are doing is we are doing this thing in phases. We started it in Barna, for example. We are doing high cost feeder. We'll go from there to village feeder, to Palmer feeder, Sabo, along the line also 33 kV Kachia leg that Marabarido falls under. So we just appeal to him to be patient with us, and very soon we'll make it to Marabarido. I have invested interest in Marabarido. My mother-in-law is in Marabarido, so it's something I would like to ensure that they are properly metered. So I appeal to him to bear with us. For the transformer, like you said, the area manager for Barna is on the feed, and I'm sure he's on it, and he will contact the customer, and we'll see what can be done so that the transformer can be back in circuit as quickly as possible.
Okay, we have Esther Vincent. She wants to know, can she change ownership? And if that can be done, how can she go about it?
Ownership of what?
I think my own understanding is that probably she moved into an apartment and the meter is registered in a different name, or she acquired a property and of course there is a meter but it is bearing somebody else's names, so she wants to change it to her own name.
Okay.
I hope that is what exactly what she.
Let me just take the scenarios that can lead to that. Okay. It's possible sometimes people have a meter in a particular location and probably they are moving to another location. They want to ask, can they move their meters to those locations? Sometimes people get to a place and they acquire a property and the meter is registered in some other name. They want that meter to be registered in their name or whatever it is, depending on the circumstance. We do not encourage movement of meters because we want to be able to tell where our meters were. Before now, we used to ask people to apply so that our people will remove the meter from its current location and go and install it in the new location. So we know meter that was in location A is now in location B. One of the things we see on our database is that we'll see, especially at the commercial side, we'll see X number of meters are not vending. And when we go to the field, we cannot trace where those meters are because people indiscriminately have just moved meters. Meters are supposed to be in maybe in Makera business unit, you find them in Zaria business unit, and will be combing Makera. Meanwhile, the meter is resting in Zaria, and the customer is just using to enjoy free electricity. So for that reason, we don't encourage. But if people have very genuine cases, let them come to our office and explain and put it in writing. If you want a meter, okay, you've acquired the property, we have a process as well for that. So I don't want to on air now say certain things when I don't know the specifics, and people will say, oh, Kaduna Electric says so. But we advise, if a customer has such an issue, let him go to the nearest Kaduna Electric office and explain that this is the issue I have. I'm moving from, say, from Ngwanimi, I'm moving from Ngwanimi, say, to Millennium City, or I'm moving to Rigasa, and I want to move my meter with me. Then we'll now tell the person what is the process that is required to get that done, and it will be done.
All right. Well, okay. Yeah, we are really sorry for that little hitches, technology. So we have to. Okay. Okay. Let's look at this issue. For example, I put up a structure and I want to have electricity services extended to that place. How do I go about it?
Thank you very much. What you ought to do is to go to the nearest Kaduna Electric office that serves your location and explain to them that you are almost completing your property and you would like to apply for electricity connection. That's what it's called, apply for electricity connection. You are supposed to be given what we call a Kaduna Electric 74 form. That form is free. You are not supposed to pay anything for that form. The form is supposed to be given to you. You are supposed to fill it with your details, and you attach a passport photograph. Then you are now expected, a licensed electrical contractor or a licensed electrical engineer is supposed to certify that the installation has been done according to standards. This is important because we as a distribution company do not wire people's houses. So God forbid there's any incidents, we cannot be held responsible. It is the licensed electrical engineer or electrical contractor that certified and signed that this installation has been done according to standards. The wires are standard, there are no substandard wires here. The cabling was done as should be done. Where it ought to be trunked, it has been trunked. Where no undersized wires were used in this installation. So he will sign that part and put his seal, his current seal upon that form. Upon that being done, then our mains inspector will go and inspect the transformer that is supposed to serve the customer. If the transformer is not yet overloaded, the customer will now be connected to it. All this process, the process of new connection, if the customer, what happens a lot of times is that customers come to us a day before they move into their house. Then 3 days after they move into their house, they say they have been here in darkness. You should have an idea that, okay, I intend to move into my house in the next 2 weeks, 4 weeks. Most times, this process is supposed to take about 2 weeks, but your bill doesn't come out until the next billing cycle. So the customer, to advise them, is let them come to the nearest Kaduna Electric office, obtain the form, fill the form, and get a licensed electrical contractor and electrical engineer to certify that the wiring has been done according to standard. And an account will be opened for them. Where meters are available, the customer will be metered, and you start enjoying electricity supply. As much as possible, we encourage people to come to our offices. Don't use third party. People use somebody who use somebody who use somebody who use somebody. So that's why you hear that somebody will say he paid 20,000 to somebody, he paid 35,000 to, and they come to our office and we say we're not aware of this. There's no charge in our approved charges that says connection, that says you have to pay for registration or for account number. There's nothing like that in our statutes. All these things happen because people are afraid to come to our, or people for some reason they feel they are busy and they assign somebody to do it to them, and that person, for some whatever reason they have, decides to exploit them, and they put the blame on us. That's not supposed to be. I saw somebody asking for a transformer in their area. That's part of our investment. Luckily, recent investment plan has been approved. And part of what we want to do from that investment plan is we're going to deploy, apart from metering, we're going to deploy transformers. We're going to upgrade a lot of our network. Some of the conductors, the undersized conductors, will be upgraded so that the quality of power that gets to people's houses can be improved. So hopefully, I just appeal to them to bear with us, but go to our Kaduna Electric office and make sure your complaint is in writing about transformer. I'm sure maybe that community is among the communities that were listed for acquisition of transformer. I just want to appeal to people to be patient with us. Unfortunately, the electricity industry, like I always say, is characterized by two major things. One, it is capital intensive, and two, it has a long gestation period. This is a private entity. We won't just go and tie money down and put 1,500 transformers in the store, hoping that when the transformer packs up, we'll replace it. No, it's a private entity. It's as it happens that we acquire it. Some of these things take some little time. Some of them are not available to us locally. Some of them we have to get in places like Lagos. Some of them we have to source them from outside. So that's why there's a time lag in a lot of these things. But with our performance improvement plan, all those places we are supposed to have improvement, we're going to change their transformers. We're going to change their transformers. And we're also going to have, for all those areas that we intend to expand to, those ones will also be available. But we're appealing to people to help us also protect our equipment. You see people, it's very common now, especially here in Kaduna, where people hang wires to enjoy free electricity at night and early in the morning. Sometimes when they are pulling those wires,
you bridge the line.
It bridges the line. It goes back. All the electricity travels in a straight line. You must find expression somewhere. So the electricity sometimes goes back all the way to the transformer, and there's a big explosion. And next thing you hear is that, oh, our transformer has blown, and Kaduna Electric, this is 1 week, Kaduna Electric has not replaced our transformer for us. Meanwhile, it was somebody within the community that should have been held responsible for that damage. So we are appealing to people, if you see your neighbor doing that, please tell them to desist from doing such things. Because like I said earlier, there's a principle of collective responsibility. What one person does, you might think he's enjoying his free electricity. But at the end of the day, it is possible it will affect you. Last year, the whole world was on lockdown. In Nigeria, we didn't know anything about COVID, but we had to stay at home. That's collective responsibility. Somebody else's whatever has affected us. So we should not allow people to just behave anyhow around us and think it will not affect us. It will affect us either on the short run or on the long run.
All right. Yes, coming to this issue of the investment being made by the company to expand and improve on the services, then does the customer have any responsibility in this regard? I mean financial responsibility, because times without number you will hear that our customers are contributing money to buy poles or to buy wires or to replace one faulty equipment or the other. Is that part of the customer's responsibility?
No, sorry, I want to answer. It's not, it's the responsibility of the service provider to provide everything that is required to provide service to ensure that the customer is happy. What happens, and I'm being as truthful as possible here, is that what happens a lot of times is that when there's a damage to an equipment, we don't get feedback on time. Sometimes you hear, I remember when I was in Kaduna, somebody called me around 3 a.m. and he was like, "Are you the manager of," I said, "Yes." He said, "Do you know you're a useless manager?" I said, "Sir, I'm sorry, but what's the problem?" He said, "Do you know we have not had light here for the past 6 weeks?" And I'm like, "Sir, I am just hearing it now that you are saying it." He said, "But you should know. I don't live in the air. I don't be," let me not use the word on live TV. So there's no way I would have known it because there was no feedback. So a lot of times people don't give us feedback on time. They wait until the thing festers. So these investments are supposed to improve the quality of our service. We are not expected. So some people now go around the community, don't mind those people. If you don't bring money, if you don't contribute money, they will not. And I feel very, very ashamed when such things are sent. Such people never come to our office to come and complain. Yeah, I must admit there are times when maybe there's a delay in our process. But that is not enough reason for people to now start going from house to house. I know in my own community the thing has caused a lot of trouble because even such money they say were contributed, there's no accountability. As in, nobody can tell you how much was actually spent. So you see neighbors now fighting themselves. Tomorrow, it's not with electricity alone. Even sometimes we have neighborhood security. You will see that they say this neighbor is paying, that neighbor is not paying, and so the neighborhood security people are no longer working because they are not being paid. So it is not the duty of the customer. Please, it is not the duty of we cannot say this enough. It is not the duty of the customer to go ahead and provide those things, whatever it is, whether it's a transformer that is bad or is the pole, or it's not the duty of the customer. It's the duty of we as service providers. You put it in writing, and send it to our office. This transformer has issue. This pole is also place has issue. Recently, we had a lot of windstorm in Kaduna with the rain. A lot of poles were down. In Doka, I was in Doka. I saw them. They bought quite a number of poles, and they were going around replacing. Somebody had called the chairman of the company to complain that they had been out for 7 days. Meanwhile, the reason why the posts were not fixed was that it was still raining. The posts were on ground, and the person was expecting our people to go inside the rain and be stringing lines. That is, there's a safety hazard in that. You get it? So we just appeal to people to be patient with us. But to answer your question, it is not the duty, it's not the responsibility of the customer.
In fact, your explanation reminded me of an incident, and this we always say it to discourage this attitude of people contributing money. There was this incident where one unlicensed practitioner, let me use that word, will go around asking people to contribute money so that he will fix a fault in a transformer. But meanwhile, he was the very person that was deliberately causing the fault. He will deliberately go and bring line somewhere, and the feeder pillar fuse will go off. So the people, because he has gotten used to a situation where they will be contributing 50 naira, 100 naira, 200 naira, 500 naira for him, so he continued persistently doing that. So that is why most often we tell our customers, please, if there's any fault, kindly take the pains and report it to our office. Yeah, I think Mr. Innocent, is it Innocent? He was virtually asking a similar question. Transformer repairs are whose duty? Transformer has been faulty for weeks.
I think you will need to tell us the area office, which location, so that we can contact the area manager to tell us why it is like that. But also, even when we ourselves take transformers for repairs, there's a process. Sometimes, if you are lucky that probably it's only one pole of the transformer of the winding that has problem, it might take a few days. But sometimes, if all 3 poles have to be rewound, sometimes it takes as much as 2 weeks before the repair.
Okay.
Okay,
it's Karji, yes, in Chukun local government.
Okay, that's under Barna. We'll talk to the area manager of Barna. I'm sure he will intervene. But even when the transformer is taken for repair, it takes some time. Part of what we are doing also as a company is that we've set up a workshop, and with the performance improvement coming to place, we want to set up a world-class workshop where we're able to maintain and fix transformers ourselves, so that you can bring in a transformer, you are sure it is with Kaduna Electric, it's not with a third party, it's not with somebody we don't know, and we can tell you when the transformer will be ready. There's a backup that we can put for you pending the time yours is ready, and we'll take it back to its location.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you are still on to Kaduna Electric. Okay, Kaduna Electric Facebook Live. We have been on for close to 50 minutes now, and we have just about 10 minutes to round up the discussion. So you can contribute, ask questions, and seek clarifications on the operations of the company. Distance stations, yes. Like I know for a fact that the company's operation covers Kaduna, Kebbi, Sokoto, and Zamfara states. So let's talk to our customers in Zamfara, Kebbi, and Sokoto. Do you have any message for them as well?
Okay, yes. The message is very simple. Kaduna Electric is a responsible corporate organization. We are aware of how our work affects everybody, and we do everything within our power to ensure that at all times, at all moments, we provide quality service to our people. Our business is 24 hours. At every time of the day, there's somebody in our injection substation ensuring that there's supply. We have people, we have rapid response teams that work at night to ensure people's problems are resolved. They don't have to sleep without light. But on the customer side, we wish to appeal to customers to ensure that they pay their electricity bill as at when due. Please, it is very important. Money is what is the wheel on which electricity drives. If the money is not available, sooner or later the wheel will grind to a halt. So it's important that customers understand that. Then please ensure that all complaints are lodged in our offices. Don't go to the electrician next door and tell him that your fuse is out. Let him go and fix the fuse for you. Sometimes the damage that the 5 minutes that you are taking to get to our office or call our office, the damage can end up being days or even weeks. Then also, please, we appeal to our esteemed customers to help us in the process of protecting our equipment. If you see somebody fiddling around our equipment, ask questions. Recently, somebody was arrested and he said, he confirmed, he said he's a NEPA 2. And we're like, what do you mean by NEPA 2? There's nothing, we don't know anything like that. I said, this is my own valid Kaduna Electric ID card. Let me see your own ID card. Customers should ensure that people who work in and around their locations or their installations are people who are registered, who are known to them, and who are bona fide staff of Kaduna Electric. And they should also help us in the process of protecting our equipment. Lastly, we also want to appeal to them, all these people that go around saying that they want to do something to the meter so that the meter will not be running. We want to appeal to them, please and please do not consent to such. When such people entice you, do not consent to it, because the damage that is being done, it's uncalculable, cannot calculate it. So those are the messages to our people on the outside. Our service goes all the way. We are one of the biggest disco in terms of landmark, because we traverse from Guantu at the border with Plateau State all the way to Ilela, the border with Niger Republic, the way to Kamba, the border with Niger Republic as well. We go all the way to Yauri, the border with Niger State. If you go towards Abuja, Jere, all the way to even what's it called, Kaduna Road is actually under Kaduna Disco. So we're very wide disco, but we do our best to ensure that our customers have quality electricity supply.
Okay, I want to maybe round up the discussion with this issue of there is a promo going on in the company for highly indebted customers. Can you please explain the modalities and who is qualified to enjoy this promotional discount being carried out by the company?
Thank you very much. Everybody is qualified, especially if a lot of people complain about, I don't understand how they arrive at this, my outstanding debt, I don't know, I have complained. So what we have done is that we have come with a promo. The flyers are available, it's available online. It's also available on our website, www.kadunaelectric.com. If you go to our website, we also encourage people to visit the website regularly. You can lodge your complaint on our website and all of that. But for the promo, you can go to the nearest Kaduna Electric office and you look at what is your outstanding debt. We will tell you, depending on how much, if your outstanding debt is above 100,000, if you pay 75% of it, you will get 25% discount and you will be metered immediately. So that that outstanding will never be an issue again. You and I were with a community day before yesterday where somebody, a hoteler, there and then he brought out his ATM card and paid 190,000. Yes. We were live witnesses and we are making arrangements to ensure he's metered now. So he's out of that problem. So, and depending on how much you are, the discount is available. So we appeal to people to take advantage of this so that this issue of estimated billing, you can put an end to it once and for all. So go to the nearest Kaduna Electric office, tell them you are asking for the consumer consumer counseling group, CCG. You want to see the CCG officer, and the CCG officer will explain to you, will tell you the extent of discount you can enjoy, and you'll be metered, and whatever other questions or inquiry you have will be taken care of, and the customer will be happy, customer will pay. The happy customer is a paying customer, and the paying customer is the customer that is good for business. And when customers pay, even we as Discos are able to provide service better.
Thank you, Mr. Sunday. We are gradually coming to the end of this program. However, we want to announce to our customers that our doors are still opened. Our social media platforms are there for you. If you have any questions or you want clarification on certain issues, you can still send your questions or demand for the explanation, and our team will gladly respond to your questions or inquiry. On behalf of my colleague, Mr. Sunday here, and other crew members who ensure that this program reached you live, we have okay. So thank you very much, and we'll see another time.
Thank you very much.